Yang berbahagia, Tan Sri Peter Chin Fahkoi merupakan Pro-Chancellor Universiti Putra Malaysia dan seorang tokoh yang amat berpengalaman dalam bidang pentadbiran awam serta pembangunan negara. Beliau memiliki kelayakan sebagai Barrister at Law dari Gray's Inn London dan telah menceburi bidang perkhidmatan awam serta politik negara selama lebih daripada 2 dekad. Sepanjang tempoh tersebut, beliau telah menyandang pelbagai jawatan penting termasuk sebagai Menteri Tenaga, Teknologi Hijau dan Air, Menteri Perusahaan Perladangan dan Komoditi serta beberapa jawatan lain di peringkat Timbalan Menteri dan Setiausaha Parlimen Persekutuan. Selain itu, beliau juga pernah berkhidmat sebagai pengerusi Majlis Bandaraya Miri dan Ahli Parlimen bagi kawasan Miri, Sarawak selama beberapa penggal. Pengalaman luas beliau dalam menerajui pelbagai portfolio strategik negara telah memberikan perspektif yang amat bernilai dalam aspek kepimpinan, pembangunan mampan, tadbir urus serta pembangunan masyarakat. Selepas menamatkan perkhidmatan dalam pentadbiran kerajaan pada tahun 2013, beliau terus menyumbang kepada pembangunan negara melalui pelbagai peranan penasihat dan pelibatan aktif dalam organisasi profesional, pendidikan serta pertubuhan masyarakat. Dengan segala pencapaian cemerlang ini, majlis dengan ini berbesar hati menjemput Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Peter Chin Fahkoi untuk menyampaikan syarahan beliau yang bertajuk Snippets from the Amazing Journey and Autobiography by Tan Sri Peter Chin. Dipersilakan.
Banyak terima kasih kepada pengurusi acara. Salam sejahtera dan salam Malaysia Madani. Yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Insinyur Ahmad Fahan, Naib Canselor Universiti Putra Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Manya Teknologis Dr. Wan Zohani, Pengarah Pusat Pembangunan dan Kecemerlangan Kepimpinan Akademik, Ketua-ketua jabatan, ahli-ahli jawatan kuasa, pengurusan universiti, pegawai kanan dan seterusnya, para hadirin yang saya hormati sekalian. Saya ingin ucapkan ribuan terima kasih, terutamanya kepada Vice Chancellor kita, kerana beliaulah yang menanam idea ini kepada saya supaya saya mendapatkan satu syarahan dalam Siri Rashdan Baba ini. Keduanya, saya ingin ucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada para hadirin sekalian, kerana tuan-tuan dan puan-puan melapangkan masa untuk hadir dalam sesi ini supaya saya dapat sedikit sebanyak mengkongsikan pengalaman saya dalam berapa dekad yang saya cempuri dalam public service ini. Saya minta maaf kerana petang ini saya ingin menyampaikan syarahan saya dalam bahasa Inggeris. Dan bagi saya, inilah sedikit sebanyak yang saya dapat kongsikan kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang hadir dalam kehidupan saya sebagai anak dari Sarawak dan lepas itu berkhidmat di dalam arena politik, terutamanya apabila saya mendapatkan peluang untuk menjawat beberapa jawatan di beberapa kementerian. Inilah sedikit sebanyak yang saya nak kongsikan dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. I use the word snippets because the reason is I am almost finishing. I'm saying almost. I would say 99% lah, finishing my memoir and autobiography, which I am now using the title An Amazing Journey. I'm not sure when I finally discuss with my publisher whether this title will still remain as Amazing Journey. I thought that I would do snippets because it would be easier for me rather than having to think about something. Especially I'm not an academic like you guys here sitting in front of me. And if I say something academic and it is wrong, you people would have, pointed out that, I know nothing much about being academic. So I choose having a snippets means telling you some of the things that I have. It will be in my book and will be published later on, hopefully by the end of this year. What happened is, some years ago, I was discussing with my wife after having retired. When you retire, there's not much you can do, or without the support like I did when I was in the ministries, the support of so many staff and people around me. So I discussed with my wife. I said, is it a good idea to have an autobiography, a memoir, so to speak, of what I have gone through in life? And we both agreed that yes, it would be a good idea, if not for anything else, at least for our family members, our children and grandchildren and so on, later on in life, to know about, the person called Peter Chin and what he has done. Of course, it is also because of my involvement in the politics and the public sector. Perhaps it will also be a good reading for people who are involved in this area. So as far as I'm concerned, this is my first foray, or maybe the last. I'm not sure. At my age, I don't know how many books can I write into the future. But at least I come up with something. So I thought that I would do it, and it has been taking a long time because when you are retired, you are staying at home. You don't have that support staff that can help you to gather the information, gather the materials that are relevant for the memoir. So I took quite a long time, I must say. And, you know, luckily, by today, at the age of 80, I'm still quite able-bodied, you know. Maybe playing golf is one of the reasons, yeah. In the, you know, in the Padang, yang segar, good atmosphere and so on. Anyway, I'm able to finish this, as I say, 99% finished this book that I am intending to publish as my memoir. But as you know, being a first-time writer, there is always this struggle to put a full stop. Susah. I can tell you that. Some of you want to try to write. You will one day or one night wake up in the middle of the night and say, hey, I should have written that one. I should have put that inside my book. I forgot. You know, things like that. There is always this struggle to put a full stop and say, okay lah, itulah cukup lah. Don't write anymore lah. So I think I have so far covered as much as I should have covered. You know, my early life, my education, my involvement in politics. And after I retired, I was fortunate enough to be nominated by the IOI, the late boss of the IOI Corporation, Canselori UPM, to be in his board. And after he passed away, the family asked me to stay on to become the chairman of IOI Corporation. So I was fortunate because here I am involved in the public sector, always as MP, you know, and then after that being nominated by my party and the Prime Minister to appoint me into various positions. It's always in the public sector for 27 years. But after I finished, I was fortunate to spend another 12 years in the private sector, the corporate sector. So I am fortunate in the sense that I have got myself the experience in public service, like all of you, and the corporate sector, the private sector, the business part of it. So there is a merger, so to speak, or not a merger in that sense, a merging of the roles of my knowledge in private sector, public sector, and follow on with the public sector. So my memoir, when it comes out, hopefully, as I say, will be published, if not this year, at least the beginning of next year. You will find that that is what I have written. I mean, about my life. And of course, there are so many other things that can be included, but as I say, there has to be a stop, otherwise the story will never end. So this afternoon, well, this is what I want to begin with. My early childhood, I was born in Kuching, 1945, when the Japanese almost left the country, left Kuching, because on the 15th of August, the Japanese formally surrendered to the Allied forces and ended more or less ended the Second World War. And as you know lah, the reason being the 2 atom bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it was to me, basically it was a bad time to be born. Can you imagine the chaos of the end of the war? And I was born on the night, this is from my siblings, the night when the Allied forces bombed Kuching. Letupan banyak tempat. Bom yang dibuat oleh Allied forces. Mainly the Australians actually. The Australians were the guys who liberated Malaya and Singapore. And luckily, by the way, I did not come from a very rich family. We just get by only. We were, you know, not really big business people, but my father and my grandparents. But we were lucky to have a rubber garden. In those days, you have land. Well, I suppose it's the same thing today. If you have land, you have got a chance to survive lah. During Japanese occupation, as you know, everything was not available. You have to plant your own food. You have to farm your own chickens, your own fish, in order to survive. But fortunately, I've got a good set of siblings. In fact, there were 9 of us. Some already passed away, not in the photograph. We were 9 of us. And during that time of chaos and disorder, in fact, when I was slightly older, I used to see a lot of Japanese currency, the so-called banana money. I don't know if any one of you remember. Itulah currency yang dulu kita pakai during the war. The Japanese issued their money to be circulated, to be used. But when the war ended, Japanese surrendered, the money was useless. Walaupun you have banyak, tak guna, tak laku. So because of that, we had to struggle to survive. And luckily, my siblings were really, I was then young, as a toddler. In fact, I was born to be exact, I was born on the 18th of August. 15 was a surrender, and I was born 18. That's why the Australian forces bombed Kuching in order to remind the Japanese soldiers to get out. So during that time, if not for my siblings, my grandmother, who took care of us in her estate, in her rubber estate, that was my early childhood. And I have, of course, quite a big paragraph on that. It will be in the book. But that's how I like to introduce today what I have done, what happened to me when I was born. Next. So after my grandmother, I should, state it quite categorically that my grandmother was really the matriarch of the family. She was the one, enforcing discipline, bagi kerja-kerja, bagi sesuatu, kakak ke, abang ke, and myself. If not for her, I don't think the family will be able to stick together. And I am forever grateful that we had a grandmother. And when I became schooling, age of schooling, I remember very clearly, our house with the rubber garden was some 4 or 5 kilometers from the school. And that was St. Joseph's School. If you can see there, that's the second picture is the old St. Joseph's School where I studied. And my grandmother was the one insisting that I must go to this sekolah yang dianjurkan oleh LaSalle Brothers. I have to go to this school because my grandmother's thinking was we were under British, orang putih. Kalau kita tak baca bahasa Inggeris, macam mana nak urusan dengan pihak British? So it was important to her that I must go to this school. Whereas all my other brothers and sisters, dia pergi sekolah Cina. And I was the only one from my village, which is called Lower Sungai Mau village, kampung, who went to a missionary school studying English. So in that sense, I have, I owe a lot to my grandmother for insisting that I go and study in an English school, which I did. I studied in that school, primary sampai secondary sampai habis, Form 6. In those days, it's called Higher School Certificate. I don't know if all of you remember the Higher School Certificate. So I spent 6 years in primary, and then another 7 years in secondary. I was fortunate that, in those days, the female members of my siblings, my kakak, I was the youngest. And, the female members are not given the chance to study, meneruskan pendidikan mereka sampai ke mana-mana tahap. Whereas the boys were treated differently. They were given chances to study as much as you can. And so it was that I was able to study, carry on, and in those days we had no funds. There was no farmer scholarship. So what did we do? The siblings, as I say, a united family, agreed that we should sell part of the rubber garden to finance me to go to England to carry on my studies. So I was very fortunate. I mean, there are many other kids from my kampong, my area, yang tak ada peluang langsung to study, to become lawyers, to become accountants or whatnot. And I was from a poor family like my household. I was able to finish law school in London, Gray's Inn. In those days, after Form 6, higher school certificate, you can enroll with the Inns of Court. And that's what I did. I enrolled with the Inns of Court, went to London, got my barrister at law, and came back, of course. Without education, without going to finish my law school, I would have no chance to be what I had been today. You know, as just now being introduced, I was able to participate in politics. I was able to be having my own law firm in Miri and participate in politics and be able to, you know, serve with the government, the federal government, for so many years. So that's what you guys are doing here in UPM, giving our young people a chance to progress. Without education, I don't think there will be a chance for me. At least for in my condition, in my environment. So I'm lucky to be able to, one of the lucky ones, so to speak, to be able to finish law school and then later on participate in politics. Next. And not only participate in politics, I just like to set the settings right. I mean, give you the settings right. I was born in Kuching, like when I was telling you. But I managed to join a law firm, and the law firm sent me to Miri to look after the office there. And from there, in fact, I mean, to be a little bit more specific, I agreed only 1 year to be in Miri. I said, okay lah, I will go there and look after the office for 1 year. Lepas tu, I'm going to come back to Kuching. You know, in those days, Kuching is the only place lah, you know, big enough for anyone to get on to life. But you know, faith being what it is, life, I suppose the almighty arrangement or whatever, I stayed on in Miri after the first year. My wife was with me. She was in teaching as a teacher. So I carried on my law practice for 14 years. And during which time, of course, you know, you get involved in the Miri society, participate in some voluntary work, and later on become the councillor in the Miri Municipal Council, and later on its chairman of the Miri Municipal Council. Pengurusi Majelis Perbandaran Miri. then again, it is, if you ask me today, why do you agree to stay on in Miri? Why not back to Kuching where your roots are? My only answer is that I found the people in Miri to be very, very conducive, in the sense that they react, they are able to react and allow you to integrate into the society. So I suppose, you know, for a young lawyer, it is important to be accepted by society. It is important that, you know, they take you as one of them, even though they know that you are from Kuching. So as a result of that, I went into politics. SUPP, Sarawak United People's Party. And of course, like everything else in politics, there is no shortcut. You have to work from bottom up. Kita jadi anggota committee members of the local branch of SUPP. And from there, you have to work yourself up to party central. Headquarters lah di Kuching. In any case, as I say, because of that good integration and acceptance by the Miri people, I managed to get myself elected in 1986 as a candidate for SUPP Barisan Nasional. And won my first election, I won by 5,000 something lah, 5,560. And that was the beginning of my first big foray into politics, into electoral politics. And after which, I was nominated and for elections 5 other times. So that makes up the total years, 27 years as MP. So I jadi MP for Miri, dengan jumlahnya 27 tahun. It's a long time, I know, but once you are in it, it is very difficult for you to say, I want out, you know, I want to stop. You just carry on. The momentum just carry on with you. Just like whatever you are doing now. The momentum itself push you on. So I stood for jadi wakil rakyat dalam 6 penggal. So I was almost 27 years in Parliament. And during that time, of course, if you are able, in politics, if you are able to prove yourself that you are able to be voted in, then as far as the party is concerned, as far as BN is concerned, they will allow you to serve in whatever capacity that is available for the party. And as you know lah, because 27 years as MP, my politics is not the state politics, it's federal politics. So maknanya I jadi first term I jadi Setiausaha Parlimen. Lepas tu Timbalan Menteri for 3 terms. And later on Menteri for 2 more terms. Basically, as one of my big problems, and even there until today, one of my big problems has been using Bahasa Malaysia, the language. Afterwards, I will give you some example or some like moments happening to me. Now, if you are in federal politics, which I was for 27 years, bahasa becomes so important. Apa sebabnya? Kita kena interact dalam kabinet, dalam Dewan in bahasa. All the cabinet papers are in bahasa. If you are not fasih, you cannot read the papers. So you don't understand the papers. But coming from the background that I had, Sarawak in those days had the luxury of not adopting the use of Bahasa Malaysia for many years. In fact, under the what you call MA 63, it's supposed to be 10 years. And lepas itu dipanjangkan. It was not until the early 90s, the mid 90s, that Bahasa became very important, became used commonly in official communication, etc. So for us yang mengikuti aliran English, I was in St. Joseph School. Bahasa is hardly taught. So when I was elected as MP, I can tell you, it was really difficult for me. Saya setiap hari di dalam office pukul 5 sampai pukul 6, 1 hour of bahasa tutoring. I kena baca, I kena belajar lah. If not, I will not be able to, do my work, especially in Parliament. So I will stress a little bit about bahasa afterwards. This picture at the end there is more or less, it's not the kawasan itself, tetapi I want to stress that in my early days as MP, I have to travel the road from Miri to my kawasan is horrible. Even though it's so-called Miri Trang Road, Miri Bintulu Trang Road. As you can see, there is a Miri Bintulu Trang Road. But it was horrible. It was not like our North-South Highway, to put it that way. But there were times that, especially when it's raining, you just cannot fathom the difficulty of having to visit your kawasan. That's why, if I may relate it back to this Pan Borneo highway now that is being constructed from from in Sarawak sampai ke Sabah. It is so into our people, the feelings of not having a proper road as compared to, for example, the North-South Highway in Semenanjung. It became such a big issue that it took so long for such a road to be constructed in Sarawak and in Sabah. That's why today, even though in Sabah it's still not ready, it's still being constructed. In Sarawak it's almost ready, maybe 95% ready. That's why today a lot of motorists can appreciate the difference between the what you call the transport system in Sarawak and here in Semenanjung, because there was no such thing as a good standard of road available. So that's why it was such a drag on me. You know, every weekend I have to fly in from Kuala Lumpur to Miri. Lepas itu take a bus or take a Land Cruiser and go from Miri down to my kawasan in the rural areas to look after the kawasan. Next. Okay. I like to, maybe, what I said earlier on was a bit boring. I like to give you some light moments now about what I have gone through. And it will be in the book, but there will be more occasions. But today, for the sake of time, I just highlight a few lah. Okay. I put down there, on top there, a Christmas gift. Apa sebab saya nak sebut a Christmas gift? I tell you, the story is like this. In Sarawak, especially politicians, you suntuk masa kan? Like just now, kalau nak ambil Land Cruiser dari Miri ke Bintulu, it takes a long time. So, we use helicopters. Helicopters cepat. Kalau you nak turun ke satu kampung, situ sajalah. Bila you helikopter sampai ke situ, you turunlah. It's easy. During one of my trips in one of these helicopters, it was on Christmas Eve, 24th December. So kita, two of us, myself and another party leader lah, we went by heli from Miri to visit some of the longhouses because it was very close to elections in those days, 1990. So we visited a few longhouses. In fact, with heli, you can cover more or less like 7 or 8 longhouses per day, one day lah. Kalau you turun awal pagi sampai petang, you can cover about 6 or 7 longhouses quite easily. Make flying visit lah, so-called flying visit lah. In one of those trips, it was late in the afternoon. The sky was dark, strong wind. It was raining a bit. But this helicopter pilot was brave enough to say, okay, we fly back to Miri. logically we should have stopped, tapi dia terbang. And along the way, about 10 minutes into the trip, actually to arrive Miri is about 20 minutes like that lah, by heli from the kampung. By about 10 minutes, the helicopter was shaking. Dia macam ni, layang. And we sensed trouble lah, because it was strong wind, there was heavy rain. So the pilot, fortunately, was able to, because it was quite dark, and because of the visibility, he decided to land on a patch of reasonably flat ground. And of course, as passengers, you'll be happy to say, okay, please land, don't fly some more. Kalau dia meneruskan, you'll be probably jatuh lah. So he stopped, and fortunately, after we stopped, even though we could not see very clearly what was around us, we managed to settle down the helicopter and waited for nearly half an hour. Then we saw somebody coming with, kereta sampai with a bit of, headlights, and we can see that somebody is responding lah to our desperate situation. And we were in a oil palm nursery. We discovered we were in an oil palm estate in the nursery itself. Of course lah, nursery itu dia tempat rather rata lah, not undulating, rata. So fortunately, the company that operates the palm oil nursery was able to help us, and we managed to get back to Miri by car, Land Rover. And of course, by the time we get there, it was already midnight, and that's why I call it a Christmas gift, because next day is already Christmas Day. So whether it is theft or whatever it is you call it, we managed to get ourselves safely back to Miri. Even though we faced danger, there was really imminent danger on that day. Then the next one, unavoidable experience. Avoidable experience. I was in a, look at that boat. It's a rubber, inflatable rubber boat. But this one, the picture I had shown you now is of course bomba punya. Jabatan Bomba dan Penyelamat. Masa itu saya timbalan menteri di Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan. And bomba was part of our brief di bawah Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan. So I was in a Terengganu offshore in one of the islands. I think it's Perhentian, Pulau Perhentian di Terengganu. So di situ, our supplier, I wouldn't say supplier lah, our pengusaha yang membekalkan boat itu wanted me to try to be in one of those boats because I was timbalan menteri, and at that time dia nak jual boat itu kepada Jabatan Bomba dan Penyelamat. So he asked me to try and see and test to see how effective this boat can be to menyelamatkan mangsa-mangsa yang di laut lah. So I went onto it, and I tell you, these boats are really fast, really fast, and I have never felt such a pull on my life. They call it the G force, the G force. Yang bila dia lajak macam tu, you almost feel that you are going to be thrown back, and when it turns, you almost feel that you are going to be thrown the other way. So that was the first time I have ever experienced such a ride, a boat, a ride in a boat. And I never knew that it was such a dangerous thing to do as well. But somehow I managed to get myself out of it into one piece. And that was a lesson from, when I say a voidable lesson, means at least lah, the whichever company that owns, or the inflatable boat driver, he should have some idea. If I was trained into this area, in this trade, or in this experience in this area, I would have taken it quite easily. But completely by surprise, you are thrown here and there, So the avoidable experience is what? You should be brief. You should be brief. That you are facing this. These are the dangers, or these are the experiences that you are going to face. Tapi langsung dia asked me to sit on the boat. Terus dia went on to this merry-go-round, which of course is life is in danger. Okay, next one is lost in the jungle. Some of you who are experienced in jungles, I don't know how many of you are experienced in jungle. Maybe our Perhutanan, Jabatan Perhutanan. No. I can tell you sometimes going into the jungle is no joke. No joke in the sense that, besides of course the fact that you are under the canopy of all those trees and whatnot. In this case, I was in a Land Cruiser, 4 of us in a Land Cruiser, going to visit a kampong. This kampong, Kampong Kuala Nyalau, which is the furthest point to come from Miri. That's my kawasan, the furthest point. We 4 of us, we were in the Land Cruiser, and the driver was so confident that he could send us there to the kampong without any problem. So we started at about 9:30, and our appointment with the Tua Kampong at this Kampong Kuala Nyalau was something like 11. We should arrive 10:30 to 11 lah. But I can tell you, even though we are in a Land Cruiser going by the timber tracks, I must say, clarify myself, it's not proper road, it's timber tracks. And we spent 3 hours inside the timber track. Pusing, we are lost. And the funny thing is, when you are in this situation, you get worried. Even though it's daylight, tapi you get worried because why? You pusing-pusing pun tak boleh sampai kawasan itu. And it's one of the, to me, one of the scary, if I may use the word, scary incident. Even though there are 4 of us inside the car, aircon lagi, but to go around for nearly 3 hours, I would say maybe less lah, about 2 hours, going around in circle. Tak boleh sampai kawasan. I relate this incident because I'm sure those who have gone into jungles would have realized that you must be able to know where you are going. Don't simply agak-agak pakai inilah, pakai itulah. Tak boleh. You have to be sure. Of course, in those days, I mean, it would be good if you have a proper GPS kan? Tak ada. Masa itu mana ada GPS? You have to depend on the driver's memory lah. Oh. Ya, mana ada GPS? So I just say that, it's one of the experiences that as an MP, you go through this sort of situations, and I wouldn't say danger lah, tapi yang you rasa apa sebabnya, walaupun you jalan-jalan tak sampai kawasan itu. Okay, next. Okay, good question. When we eventually stop, then we, lah, the driver is he's a Muslim lah, so he start praying, and lepas after that we hear motorcycles coming our way. Before that, during that 1.5 hours, nearly 2 hours going around, we didn't even see a person. Langsung tak dengar apa or a person. Yes, I think so lah. I mean, if you ask me to to write it, swear it, I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't. I mean, but it's a fact. I went through it. But eventually, we went to arrive at the kampong, because the kampong, Tua Kampong, sent these motorcycles, 5 of them, 5 motorcyclists, to find us. So he knew that we were lost. And we asked him, what happened? And his answer was, Yala, that's it. He said, a lot of people get lost, even the loggers, the people who are doing the timber logging, they also get lost. Anyway, okay, national language. Tadi yang saya sebut national language. Insiden ini pasal sebagai masa itu 1986 first enter parliament. I think the first session I attended. Because you are Setiausaha Parliament, sometimes you go to Wakil Menteri. Masa itu tak ada timbalan menteri. My menteri at that time was Syarahan Umum I don't know whether any of you remember him. Syarahan Samad, yeah. He was my menteri. So, masa itu, saya kena jawab satu soalan. Bila ada skrip macam ini, saya baca, it's not an issue lah. Itu bukan isu. Isunya saya kena jawab lisan, bukan, oral, apa tu? Lisan lah. Oh. Oral. Sebab lepas soalan yang dibacakan, MP tersebut yang tanya soalan itu, dia boleh berdiri, atau lain menteri, lain MP boleh berdiri and ask question secara lisan. So I kena jawab. Yang dalam senario itu, I don't have a script, but knowing that I have to answer or face situation like macam tu, I have prepared myself cards. You know, answer cards lah, card yang saya dah tulis maklumat berkaitan dengan kementerian. So when the answer, the MP, yang MP ni, dia dari Pasir Mas, Kelantan. MP yang dari Kelantan, you tahulah, dia punya bahasa, dia ada slang. Kelantanis slang. So I macam mana boleh faham Kelantanis slang? I have not been to Kelantan before. As an MP, first time. So when he came to ask question, that particular question, I langsung tak faham, langsung tidak mengerti apanya yang dia tanya. So I asked my fellow Setiausaha Parliament, who was from Baling, the late minister from Baling, MP from Baling. So I asked him, hey, I've got a few cards. Can you just select the right cards for me? What he's asking. Because I did not understand what the question was. Sebab dia tanya bahasa dalam Kelantanis ini. So he gave me a card, so I read lah. Baca saja kan, yang kad tu, apa yang tertulis dalam kad tu. And then when I finished reading, the fellow was not satisfied. He stood up again to ask. But luckily, the speaker, the late Tan Sri Tahir, he was a very kind man. So he knew my predicament, that I completely was answering the wrong thing. Yang saya baca itu bukan jawab soalan yang ditanya itu. So he asked, he was very kind, he just said, okay, next question. On the order paper lah, next question. So sebab next question dipanggil, saya sudah lepas lah. Lain-lain orang jawab pula, bukan saya. But it shows to me how important to know the language. And this is a big lesson I have always said in my party to my younger people who wants to go to stand in parliament. You must make sure you know the language. Otherwise you get into lots of trouble. itulah satu pengalaman yang even though now I'm out of parliament, I still have, nightmares about that. People asking you something, you cannot understand what he's asking. Whereas, if you know the language, at least you, even though there's a slang to it, you will be able to catch more or less what he's asking. Itu satu pengalaman saya yang mengenai what do you call this, bahasa Malaysia, yang bagi seorang yang kena face dan kena di hadapan MP di Dewan itu, this is something that I think all who are aspiring to become MPs must prepare themselves. And I find that, masa itu yang MP dari, for example lah, MP dari MCA dan DAP dari Semenanjung ini, dia tak ada masalah sebab dia orang semua fasih, walaupun keturunan Cina, no issue. But this is where, coming from Sarawak and to a certain extent Sabah, we have to be prepared. Of course now, because they have gone through their primary school and secondary school, it's not so much an issue lah. But to me at that time, it was really a big issue of knowing the language. Lastly, unexpected incident. It's not related to I love KL. Tapi yang semua slide ini, I want to tell you, is prepared by my grandson. Not him here, but another grandson. Dia tolong saya. We selected this photograph just to represent KL. This incident is about what? This incident, again, is something that we should all learn. People like our BC, who comes onto the stage very often. I was invited to do a function in KL, one of the big hotels in KL. The incident there was this. The stage that I went on was not the ordinary stage macam ini. It was a stage designed like a T. Yeah, one of those catwalks. Yes, one of those catwalks. Because the night before, this particular function that I attended, the night before was for a fashion show. So, yang stage tu, yang macam T tu, dia one line there and one other line there. So I was ushered up to the stage. Now, what happened was, as I went onto the stage, there was a strong spotlight dari hujungnya dia sampai ke stage tu, and you cannot see much. You cannot see much. You can only make a bit of a blur image lah, rostrum itu. Dia letak itu di apa nama, on the parallel side, not on the vertical angle. So the stage was on one end, and I had to walk from the center. I can tell you, what happened was really an unexpected incident. I walked, instead of going straight and then turn right angle to the left, to the right, I went straight to the rostrum. I went straight for the rostrum. And you know what happened? There was a void lah. There was a gap again. Gap. And I fell into the gap. And of course, I hurt my shoulder, my left shoulder blade. I was taken to a nearby hospital, the Prince Court. I don't know whether you know that hospital, Prince Court, nearby. Of course, luckily, I mean, it could have been a very, very nasty accident. But they found out the orthopedic, doctor found out that it was just a small crack after X-ray, small crack on my shoulder blade, and I was put on a sling for the next 3 or 4 weeks. But the point here I want to make is this: kalaulah penganjur ni, if they told me that it is a catwalk stage, I would have known where to walk in. But there was no information. And nobody ushered me and guided me. And you went on the stage and you walk by yourself to the restroom. That causes the incident. So after that incident, I make it a point to the ministry. I said, any function, you must brief the safety angle. Safety angle includes evacuation lah. Kalau ada fire, incident of fire, macam mana kita nak evacuate? Macam mana kalau kita on stage, we have to the briefing to the person going on stage, and if possible, somebody to guide him to the rostrum. So this is some of the incidents. These are some of the incidents that happened to me, and I thought that by including all this, you may not be so boring, like you may not be so sleepy throughout my speech. Anyway, when the book comes out, it will include many of these. There are many others. There was one case I was on a boat in the sea, in the coastline. Kita nak pergi kampung sesuatu macam tadi itu kampung Nyalau itu. Kalau you pakai boat, boleh juga sampai, tapi bila itu cuaca yang tidak baik, you don't use the boat lah, you pakai land cruiser. There was occasion when I was in a boat, and we are at the mercy of the elements, wind and rain and strong waves. So there was an occasion where we almost have to karam our boat, because why? There is no other in our journey. There is only one boat. Tak ada second boat yang ikut. So because of that, if we were really, our boat sank, that would be probably the end of the MP as well, because there was no other boat yang bersama. So these are some of the things that, as you go with experiences, you feel that we should be we should be able to take precaution lah, as to how our journey, while we are what you call, you have the intention to serve, tapi yang logistik itu dia tak memuas, not good enough for us to really put ourselves into dangers or harm's way. Baiklah, itu sedikit sebanyak yang saya dapat kongsikan dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang hadir. I will end up today's talk by this conversation. This happened, really happened. An old friend of mine who was with me in Parliament. Now I have retired for 2013, now it's 13 years. And that friend of mine is still there as MP from Sarawak lah. So one day we had a conversation. Then he asked me, "How are you?" I say, "I'm good. I'm very good. In fact, I'm fantastic." Why? Why you are fantastic? Retirement to me has done a world of good to me, especially to my health. I have plenty of rest. The pressure from no pressure from anyone. Maybe my wife sometimes lah. No pressure. And no KPI. I could go anywhere I want, wherever I want to do, yeah. And generally enjoying whatever time I have left. Then my old friend said, "Yaga, if that is the case, I might join you very soon." He's thinking of not standing next time. So I told him, I said, "Hey, my friend, that will be the best decision you can make. There are times you cannot keep on going. There are times when you feel that you have done enough. You cannot be spending all your time serving others and nothing for you, especially health-wise. Like the many occasions I put myself into danger." So I said, "Your wife will thank you for your decision of not standing." And I said to him, "Let the younger generation, the younger ones, take up the mantle. Cukuplah. Jangan teruskan lagi." Okay, thank you very much. So, is there any questions? Yeah.
What is your strength? Apa kekuatan Tan Sri yang that you are still relevant? Second question, what's your tips to maintain maintaining your health and your still active?
Yeah. The first question, basically, you know, when I retired in 2013, that was retiring from government. And then 2014, I retired also from party. So my mindset then was, there's nothing much you can do. You have retired. You know, I mean, whatever there is that you have set up to do 27 years ago, you have done it. You have been a Mantri, you have been a, by the way, I have not told you that I was also the president of my party, from a lower rank to president of the party. So I have done everything that I could. Party politics, jawatan di kementerian. So apa lagi you nak? But when the late Lee Shin Shin of IOI Corporation, or IOI Corp, approached me and said, "Why don't you join us to become a board member?" It sort of attracted me, because corporate sector saya belum ada pengalaman. So I accepted. Now, if you ask me why he nominated me, how did I make myself relevant then? I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it is not because I have something that very special that others don't have. Maybe there is, I don't know. I cannot pinpoint how I make myself relevant again. But there is something that I always maintain throughout my life. If I'm given a job, I will do my best, whatever it is. Like when I was MP, I did all I could. When I was in the Kementerian, I also I did the same. And when I was director of IOI Corp, I also did my part, in the sense that I make sure that the company is clean, that the company is have a good social agenda to help, not only to profit, but to do whatever it can to help society and to help the country's economy. And of course, as a listed company, we have to comply with so many rules and regulations, bursa and so on. So my job was then to make sure that all these are in place. So I may have some qualities that other people see in me, but I honestly feel that if I'm given a job, I would do it. I would do my best and perform to the best. That was my mindset all the time. Yeah. Now, as to the second question, I just answered my friend just now. I said, you retire, your only mindset is what? Keep yourself in good health. Exercise more. Go, like I was telling BC, go to the Padang. Padang, I tell you, you may think it is wasting time, but actually it's not. If you can spend 3 or 4 hours in the Padang, the clean atmosphere, I mean the clean air, and then the trees and the birds and whatnot, you are in a completely different world. So maknanya you punya your worries are left behind. Kalau you quarrel with your wife, itu pun left behind. Bila in the padang, stress free. That's how I do exercise lah. I do exercise, stretching. Every morning I do stretching a lot. Yeah. So I think it's important. Whether you are a man or you are a woman, you must do some exercise to what you call get your blood flowing lah, yeah, circulating. Ada lagi? Sure.
Thank you very much, Tansri, for your insightful sharing. I have 3 questions actually.
Okay.
One is on the, you were saying that, you went through all those dangerous, or you think it's dangerous, or for me it looks like very adventurous. What actually motivates you to do that, And then, of course, you were saying that you give your best. But what are anything that will inspire you or motivates you to do that and to take all the risks? Okay, that's one. Number 2, you mentioned that after you retired that you don't have anyone to, the team to help you, for example. Of course, you have your grandsons to help with the slides and all, right? To be a leader, you need a good team. I'm sure that when you were in the ministry and when you're with your MPs, you have your team that help you, even to prepare the cards in the parliaments, right? Yeah. What do you think that how do you think you keep your you to have that to maintain or to have that good team? Number 3, what are the any motivational talk or tips or comment or statement that you can make to our young leaders who are here today? Because I think we really look up to you, and I think that you would be one of our role model as our Pro Chancellor UPM. So we want our young leaders also to be like you. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Prof. Motivation. Let me put it this way. If, as I said just now, I try to do my best. Trying to do my best is also, in a way, organized way. Bukan, not just tak ada, there is no arah, there is no what you call no pathways to go. When I say I try to do my best, means I use my knowledge. I make for example the team that is with me also contribute to that, towards that, and motivate them to have the same mindset to do things. In other words, when you have to do a thing, do it well. Take all angles, whatever, from all the angles. Whether, for example, like as a politician, if I say something, I want to make sure that by saying something, I do not go and inadvertently go and hurt somebody, or worse still, try to put down somebody. And in doing so, I feel that the result is better. Whatever result that comes in is better. If you do it in a haphazard way, people say cincai lah, not doing properly, then the result might not be as good. And very often people will say, this guy, he's just bluffing lah. He's not really trying to tell us doing things that he should be doing. So I find that if you are sincere about doing it, sincere and telling the person, for example, if you can, tell him can. If you cannot, just tell him you cannot. It is not something, it's something beyond you. And I think that to be sincere about it is a good policy. Is a good way of treating things, doing things. And the team, what about the team? How to motivate them? But I find that over the years, for example, I give you an example. The driver who is driving me now, he was with me from day one, 27 years ago. And he's still here with me. Why he is still with me? I treat him. I don't. He's just one of my team. He is not just an employee, so to speak. I think that if you treat the people with you, around you well, in a sincere way lah. Not that you have to what you call lavish them with anything. But if you treat them well and sincerely, they will appreciate, and they are willing to do things for you. One of my PA, SUS, yang master itu SUS. Yes, even until today, she's still doing things, helping me whatever I can. You know, I will always Hari Raya, I will always remember her, things like that. So it is the human touch, I suppose lah. Kalau you put it shortly, in short, human touch lah, that binds the team together. And as far as our young leaders are concerned, I can only say, be sincere about what you want to do. Help those who need help without expecting anything in return. It is that sincerity to help that most people will appreciate, whichever station in life that you are. If you help people sincerely, they will appreciate it. Yeah. So I think to our young leaders, try and practice that lah. Yeah. Don't be that the extra benefit is, for example, today, if I go back to Miri and somebody come to me and shake my hands, I feel happy, you know. Why I feel happy? Because he feels that I have contributed something to him and he still remember me. So I mean, that is I mean, to me, the rewards lah of your assistance in the past to him, and he remembers you, and he still come back from far. He will come to you and shake your hands. So itulah rewards for, to me, it is much more important. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ada lagi? Thank you lah for staying on. I appreciate your spending I don't know how 2 hours with me, and yeah, it makes me happy also to see you here. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.